Something's wrong here.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Sure. We can tweak them too if you don't like them, but
Yeah, very nice, thank you.
yeah.
Wow. Mary, Norm he came over to the Argus and got a box of your guides and gave them all away at Cellcom. Yeah. A whole box. Yeah, and he got rid of 500 brochures
George,
for
we haven't had a
jailbreak.
buildings and grounds meeting for so long, I don't even know how to run it anymore.
I was gonna say, it
I
keeps
hope
on
so.
getting canceled.
He already
for
got
lack of
quite a few,
activity.
In a way, that's good,
yeah,
they're getting things done.
people that registered.
The funny thing is that on Thursday,
Oh, I hope so.
that same Thursday,
Thank
they
you.
had the second zoning,
Appreciate that.
but we didn't have any
No,
zoning
what you got?
issues to go on Thursday. So there was
Okay, it's
zoning
7 o'clock, so I'm gonna call the meeting to
zoning
order.
too.
We need a motion to confirm my appointment of John Jarvis to District 6 Supervisor to replace Dennis Weddy. We have a motion by Mr. Kirschner, second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, if you'd like to come up, John, and Steve Anderson will swear you in. I think if you want to go right by the podium over there. Oh, around, wherever you want to go. Yeah. Hey, Mark.
I, John Jarvis,
Having been appointed to the office of District 6 County Board Supervisor,
having been appointed to the office of District 6 County Supervisor,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, right there.
Oh, yes, is there over by himself?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my seat, that middle one. Okay, we will move on with roll call. Megan?
Mr. Bonfiglio. Mr. Piaski.
Here.
Mr. Tim.
Here.
Mr. Cap.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein is excused. Mr. Jarvis.
Here.
Mrs. Collada.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Peterman.
Here.
Mr. Lauer.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yep.
Okay, now we'll stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mr. Cap, second by Mr. Tim. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We need approval of the minutes of the April 22nd, 2019 monthly meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Peterman, second by Mr. Lauer. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, public comments? No one has signed in, so we will move on to the election of the county board second vice chair position. We'll be replacing Dennis Weddy. And Megan, how do you want us to do that?
So we've got nomination forms on everyone's desk, and so we'll take those nomination forms first, so they can nominate, I believe, as many as they would like to. And then initial next to their nominations, and then we will collect those.
These mics are a little touchy.
Oh, I suppose I was supposed to vote.
I'm gonna unfold it anyway, so.
Yeah, right. Save it sometime.
So I have, Everett. He's not even here to turn it down, how about that?
Too bad for him.
Mike Cap. George Peterman and Mark Kirschner. Well, Mark can't do it
No, he's
because
already-
he's already a vice chair. Unless you wanna hold both spots, that'll be an interesting meeting.
Wrong.
Everett. Yeah. Let's see. Mark Piasky. So those would be the choices. Mark Piasky, Everett, George,
And Mike.
Mike.
Go ahead and write it.
Thank you. Do we need to initial?
No, ballots don't need to be initial.
You are a little late.
Here, you want me to load the ballot, isn't it?
I spelled his name wrong.
You spelled the name wrong. Then I'll know which one's yours. So I have one for Mike, two for George, and six for Everett.
Okay. So Everett is our new board second vice chair. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we'll go on to new business. Everett is in the state of Washington at his granddaughter's graduation, so, and Bob is missing tonight because his daughter is graduating, or has graduated from high school in Lincoln, Nebraska. So we will have no county administrator's monthly report. All right, next, we have Small Libraries Create Smart Spaces presentation by Jeannie Williamson. Jeannie is the librarian from Poisippi.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come and share this exciting news with you on behalf of myself and our library and the board. This is the second year of the Small Libraries Create Smart Spaces project. And the application process actually started in January. And if I could turn this, I know you showed me. And what happens was you made application and then you sent it in. It was approximately 20 questions that had to be reviewed. And not just the demographics, but you needed to show how this grant would help your community as well as your library. So they had told us at the time of application we wouldn't hear about the outcome until the 15th of February. However, I received an email on February 8th with the heading, "Congratulations." And that was pretty exciting because it was like, oh my God, we got the grant. And then it hit me, we got the grant, which meant how much work went with it. But we were not allowed to tell anyone until the official announcement on March 7th when the monies were released. And this grant is sponsored by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the Online Community Library Center, the OCLC, and the Rural and Small Libraries. There was 120 applications, and of those, only 15 libraries were chosen. And it's pretty exciting when you look at that. We are the only library in Wisconsin to receive this grant, and we are also the smallest with a population of 909. The second smallest is out of Tennessee with a population of 1,788. We have in Washington, we have the Lopez Island, and that library can only be reached by ferry or boat. We have a Carnegie Library in South Dakota, and we have a tribal library in New Mexico. So there's quite an eclectic group of people. We have an online community, and we have live online sessions every 2 to 3 weeks. We have continuous blogging with answering of questions and seeing how we're doing. And we have something that's called the water cooler, and this is where we have side conversations about things not directly connected to the grant. There are 9 modules which start out with an active community discovery process, then we phase into the design process, and then the implementation. Now, the big thing about this grant is that there is a recognition that libraries have to change. With the coming of the digital age, libraries cannot be like they used to be. And we recognize that libraries have to be repurposed. So many of you remember when you walk into a library, you made noise, somebody told you to be quiet. Well, now we encourage you to make noise. We're going to do active learning with activities and interaction and a lot of movement. And that was our primary focus with our grant application, is that we wanted to see the Poisey Library become more of a community center. And that meaning that we have a lot of programming and activity, and we are a little bit noisy. You could ask Mark, he's been there, he knows we're noisy. And so active learning has to really do with taking areas in the library and repurposing them. And so I'm going to give you a few examples of what we're talking about. The library on the left, the area that the teens are sitting in, used to be where they had their copy machine and a water cooler and things like that. And when they did their discovery process, they found out that the kids didn't really feel they had any place to be in the library. So they took that area, completely transformed it, put in a conversation pit for the kids, and then they had a person that was an interior designer design that back wall. The picture on the right shows how they took another, they're called smart spaces, where you have activities that can be either self-directed or as a group, and they took a wall and they put all types of words to energize. But the biggest thing you'll notice is that there's a lot of color with these particular designs. And then again is a change, you know, like even like this room is used kind of in the tans. We're looking at pops of color which enable us to use our 5 senses. So the first phase that we're in right now is our community meetings, and that is a requirement of the grant. We held our first community meeting on April 29th, and on the picture on the left, we were really excited to have State Representative Kevin Peterson join us. And you'll see people standing around and talking and discussing a little bit what we can do. Now, what was interesting with this meeting is we didn't really have that many people show up, but I had a number of people that came during the day, and we've had a continuous flow of people that have come in as word is spreading through the community of what we're trying to do. You received a copy of our fact sheet, and so what's happening is we have $5,000 that we can work with over this 15-month period of planning and designing. And so again, this is pretty exciting for us on how we could spend that money. Our wish list is growing, and it's kind of fun. I took advantage of a couple of opportunities to have small focus groups with more impromptu focus groups. At the Easter egg hunt, I pulled in some of the older kids, and I asked them, if you could spend this money, what would you want to buy? And after they were done coming up with some really interesting suggestions, we really got serious about it. And one of the things that came up is they really wanted something like a larger gaming computer that they can use, or more projects that they can take part in. Because I asked them, what would get you into the library on a day that we're not having like a summer program? Although the pinball machine was possibly the most popular thing they brought up. When our story hour, we have quite an active story hour, so we got the parents together and started asking them questions of what they wanted. And they wanted to see like a real kitchen for the kids, you know, a full-size toy kitchen. But each week as the parents came back, they started to think of more and more things that they thought their children would enjoy, such as the Legos and Lego table and so on. And our adults, the most unexpected response for me was the fact that the men in our area in Poisippi have no place to meet. When the cafe closed, they had no place to go. And so we had several comment on the fact that they would like to have a conversation pit or something for meeting at the library. And I never realized how important coffee was, because although it's up there on one sheet, I must have had a dozen people that said they would like to be able to come and have coffee. And needless to say, we'll be buying coffee. So this is the area that we're looking at. This, if you have not been to the Poisippi Library, we have an older area, and this is part of the original school. And we are going to take this area and transform it. We've already started some of the transformation. The bookcase that's immediately in front where the flowers are next to has been taken down. We have realigned a lot of the books, and just opening that space made a major difference in our programming efforts. We currently have a program every month that's geared for adults or all ages. And Mr. Eckstein came and did a square gardening class, and it was pretty fun because we had to put 20 people in that spot. And so that dictated that even though we made it larger, we still have to make it larger still, because they were kind of cozy while they were sitting there. So what is next for us? Now we go out into the community, and part of our discovery process is to go out and try to talk to people who are non-patrons. And so we are going forward, we're going to be putting together suggestions of what we might spend the money on. The project team is going to look at the different things, such as the conversation pit or the Lego tables, and price these out a little bit, but have pictures on a tri-board that we'll take to various community happenings, and we have 3 scheduled right now. We're going to the Poisippi All-Church Picnic on the 9th of June. We're going to be part of the Poisippi Days on the 22nd of June, and then we're going to the Borth Community Picnic on the 24th of June. And so that'll be just the start. As we have other opportunities to present our grant, we will make a point of being there and get a feel for what people want to do. And this tri-board is going to have a voting type process on it where I think we're going to put little stars on, because we're reaching for the stars. It's like our wishing well reaching for the stars. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you still have your husband doing all that carpentry in there?
Well, he is the unofficial maintenance man, but yes. He took apart a lot of the stuff we took down, so. But we have Mark. He said he would help us too.
Oh, that's good.
That's what he said last night.
Well, there you go.
And I'd like to say, we had our Library Services Committee meeting there, overlapped that story hour that you had in the morning. And I just remember when the story hour started, we still had the meeting going on. And I was thinking, man, this is loud for a library, you know? And then, but as I walked through and watched the parents interact with their kids and watched, you know, sort of everything that was going on, I really thought it was a good thing. And obviously it wasn't disruptive at all. It was just more engaging, and just it's sort of a different thought process to how you're supposed to interact in a library. So I thought it was really good.
And that really is part of the transformation. You know, energy levels rise when there's activity and noise, and it's not disruptive noise, like you said. We just really have people that feel more free to come in and do different things. And one of the things that's been most successful, and one of the reasons why we really want to transform that space to be able to have more open area for meetings, is the response by our senior population. I bring a lot of programs there that are sometimes held here in Watoma, but there is a reluctance to travel the 20 miles to come here to do that. Mm-hmm. And so and it builds each time. I mean, every time we do a program, we have more word out in the community and more people that are not patrons of the library. We've opened up several library cards since some of this have started, but I think just the excitement of the board and watching everyone get actively engaged in what we're trying to do, it's really uplifting, you know, not only for our library, but Poisippi. And we have a strong backing of the churches in the area because they too want to be able to find an area that's more family friendly for people to meet. And so what's been coming forward and really nice for me is all the people that are volunteering to help with promote this project, take part in the project. One of the things that was suggested was we have to paint to make that area much brighter. It's a little bit dark in there, as you saw when you were there. And so several of the gentlemen were standing around and they all started brainstorming about how we could do this. And it started with, well, you can paint the paint over the paneling. And so he says, no, you don't want to do that. That'll look bad. We can put thin drywall on there. And then another gentleman said, well, I can help and I'll make all my brothers come along. And I thought, this is great. You know, have them come along, do a lot of other things too. But we're getting a lot of active response of people who want to help. And a lot of people, see, we really had an identity issue where people either didn't realize we had a library in Poisippi or they thought it closed when the schools closed in 2011. So we've been on a process of rebuilding the identity of that library for the last year or more. So,
Larry, do you have a question?
I just want to commend you for the good work you're doing in Poisippi. I think you've improved the library there tremendously already. I do have one question. You said you were chosen by the OCLC. Can you tell us who or what that is?
that is actually, it's a team of people. They are one of the partners on this grant. The money comes from a different sector, but we had 120 applications for this grant. And they went through and just reviewed. We had 20 questions where we had to, as succinctly as possible, you know, as you've ever written a grant, you can't go on, but proved why we needed to have this money for our area. And unfortunately, because we are somewhat economically depressed, that was in our favor for getting this grant. And so it was a team of 4 people that went through and read all the applications and then decided on need who would most benefit from the grant.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, again, congratulations, Jamie.
Thank
You do
you.
a great job. Okay, next we will have Ms. Lane Wadle to give us the Treasurer's Office annual report. I'm sure she's going to tell us we have all the money we'll ever need, right, Elaine? Sure.
I'm Elaine Ladle, County Treasurer, and this is the annual report for the Treasurer's Office. My staff includes Jessica Yeager and Courtney Hedrick, and I'd like to give credit to Jessica for putting this presentation together for me. Our mission is to provide high-quality service in an efficient, courteous manner, and the duties in the Treasurer's Office, we're responsible for the collection, disbursement, investments, and safekeeping of all the county funds, as well as maintaining accurate records.
I never can get that to work either, Elaine.
And this is a brief overview of the duties that helps us accomplish our mission in the Treasurer's Office. So at various times we perform many of these in a day, weeks, months, years in our office. I'm not moving. comparison of the 2017 and 2018 bank reconciliations. So you can see our beginning balance each December and the ending balance for each December. Cash receipts and disbursements and the ACH payouts and all the activity that goes into the reconciliation banking process. This is the chart of the cash flow or cash report, the beginning balance, the receipts and disbursements for each month, and the ending balance, or beginning balance as of January 1st of 2019. This is the receipts that we produce each month. The county tax we don't collect in January, we start in February and we end in September. So it's comparable, the amounts and the amount of receipts that we produce. And also then the redemptions. Receipts are any of the delinquent taxes, and we collect those all the time, and shows the amount that we collect and the number of receipts produced to collect that amount. This is our general cash receipting. That's all of the funds that come in from various departments that are billed out. And now with the Springbrook module, all of the invoices that are sent out come through our office and are receipted. So we have a larger volume of mail, a larger volume of receipts that we produce each day, each week. This is the wire transfers that in 2017 that we brought in from the state pool. So in 2017 we brought in some. In 2018 we didn't have to bring any of those funds in from the state pool, so they remained in the pool and we're earning interest at that pretty good, a better rate now than it was in 2017. This is the accounts payable. Most of the departments now do their own invoicing through the Springbrook module, and so that is shows how that looks when they are producing those invoices. This is a copy of the invoice that comes in to our office with the payment. We have a barcoding scanner that helps us process those receipts fairly rapidly to get that money into the bank daily. So this is the shows our cash receipting process, what we produce, and as I said, that has increased our workload to have that money or that volume of mail coming into our office. This is a comparison of the general investments from 2017 to 2018. And you'll notice that the CD amount always remains the same because we haven't cashed in any of those. We do get the interest that on those CDs monthly. That's why that remains the same. It doesn't increase, but that the amount in the state local government investment pool does increase because that interest remains in there. And you can see the difference in the amount of interest from 2017 to December of 2018, the rate that increased. This is the listing of the interest that has come in from the various CDs for the 2017, 2018. You'll notice on the National Exchange Bank, the 2018 looks like it's less than 2017, but because when that matured, there was a problem with getting the interest monthly, so more of the interest came in the beginning of 2019 than in 2018. So overall, that increased. This is our web portal. Shows how that looks. You can go in there and view all the parcels, any parcel. This particular shot is for doing credit card payments. You can go in there and make a payment with the credit card through Point and Pay. And this is the listing of credit card payments that have come in. That is the listing that I get, that I would look for in the bank, and then the tax receipt is produced and sent to the customer. This is, it's hard to see, Huntington Bank. This is what I look at every day to check the accounts, any EFTs that come in, those credit card payments that I'm looking for to receipt, any activity that goes on in the bank. And we have the 24/7 access to the account, verification of the ACH and wire transfers, and verification of outgoing wires. And right now, we're in the process, Huntington is in the process of being taken over or merging, or somehow Associated Bank will be the new bank that is taking over at Huntington. So that is in the works, and we'll know more about it in June when everything is coming about with that. This is a couple of the first dollar credit and the lottery credit that we work with. Is with the tax bills. The lottery credit, we just had Lottery Credit Week to had an article in the paper that maybe help people be informed if they weren't getting the lottery credit to get signed up and get that credit on their tax bill to reduce their tax amount. So that's a couple of credits that are out there for property owners. Use value conversion is another program that we work with for any changes in agricultural land, removing that from agricultural to residential, commercial, exempt property. There is a one-time fee that is paid for the number of acreage removed from ag use. And this is our tax deed process. motion by the county board then to take that by county tax deed. We have the appraisal done, the publication, and then it's offered on sealed bids to advertisement and if people that are interested in bidding on that. And finally, the process is then to sell it on, a quitclaim deed is provided to the successful bidder on that, in that process. And this is our web page, a few of the links that are on there, the information to keep up to date, to keep the people informed of various things within our department, such as when tax payments are due, especially the July deadline, and applying for the lottery credit, how to go and pay their by credit card on the web portal. Any questions?
When people pay by credit card, is there a fee that's assessed to the user for that, or?
It is, yes, it's 2.39% interest through the point and pay our credit card company.
But the person paying that pays that fee?
Pays that fee.
Convenience fee or whatever?
Right,
Okay.
that's correct.
And also, on one of the first screens, there was a line for outstanding checks. And there's like a 50% difference between 2017 and 2018. What do those checks represent generally? Are they like carryovers into the next year, or are they just?
You mean the canceled checks?
No, it said outstanding, I'm pretty sure. It was,
Oh, that's per month, anything that would, press it.
yeah, I think, one more. Yep, that one, I believe. And then at the bottom,
Bank recs check. Each month, there are a certain number of outstanding checks that don't clear the bank,
okay,
and that's what those are. If they're outstanding 2 years, then in December, those that are 2 years old are then, by resolution, put back into the general fund.
okay. All right. And so, like, in 2017, it represented about 204,000. 2018, it represented 110,000. There's no rhyme or reason for that, they just,
No, it all depends, and it also depends on, the end of the month when the finance checks go out.
okay,
What date that falls, there could be a large number of, checks that are cut toward the end of the month that haven't cleared yet.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Elaine? Thank you very much, Elaine. There you go. Thank you. Next, we have the Department of Aging Annual Report, Director Debbie Pavola. Pavola? Pavola? All right.
Anna, how long have you known me?
I know, but somebody else called you Pavola, and I thought maybe I was saying it wrong.
And she's so nice, she wouldn't tell you.
No, she wouldn't.
Thank you for having me this evening, and happy Older Americans Month. May is always Older Americans Month, so I try to come and give you my annual report, my update. You did receive electronically a copy of the 2018 annual report. I do have a few hard copies if anybody needs one. So I'm not going to go through everything on that report, but just to highlight a few things. One of the reasons why I shared data with you is because our the state and our regional office and the federal government requires us to collect data on absolutely everything that we do. So once we're collected, I just feel like it's kind of interesting to share, and so you kind of have a better idea of what we're doing. But it is really hard to know some exact numbers because we actually have 4 different databases that we use, 2 separate ones in our ADRC and 2 separate ones with the Department of Aging. So I did list on my report that we served over 2,700 unduplicated people in 2018 through the Department of Aging. And then I separated out the ADRC numbers. We had like almost 9,300 contacts to the Tri-County ADRC, over 3,000 of those which were for Waushara County. And so if you blend those two numbers together, we're reaching well over 50% of the population that is 60 and older. So I think we do pretty well on an annual basis. And then we're currently serving 65% female, 35% male. That's pretty standard nationwide. 39% live alone, 27% live in poverty. And the age range is pretty consistent with the 60 to 90 category, 8% for 90 to 105. And we had to point out that we had 8 individuals who are over the age of 100.
Don't look at me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, nothing intended there.
Oh, thank you.
So that's kind of cool, I think. And then also, last year when I came here, I told you that our meal count had actually gone down. This year, I could tell you that it has gone up 7.4%, so we're excited about that. I had mentioned that our Plainfield site was not doing well, and with help from county board members all the way into the community, we have stabilized that dining center, and we're doing much better in the Plainfield site. So we're really excited about that. So we thank everyone for their help and support. Transportation-wise, we just did just shy of 6,700 trips last year. That was a couple hundred less than the year before. And we think the reason for that is because of the addition of the Watoma taxi service. And we don't look at that as a bad thing. We look at the taxi service as being a complement to what we can do, because we can't meet everybody's needs. And so we're actually quite grateful that they're here. So we're just going to continue to monitor those numbers and see if there's what kind of impact that will have for us long term. I will say that of all the trips we do, that's about 27 trips a day, so we are on the road quite a bit. With our Elder Benefits Specialist program, that's the Carol Klabundi program, as we call it, who is, by the way, retiring at the end of June. She had about 362 cases that she dealt with, and 33% of those were in poverty. The reason why that's important to mention is because much of what she does is helping people get public benefit assistance when they need it. So we're required to report monetary impact, and her monetary impact was $273,000 in 2018. Caregiver support continues to be a high demand for us. Our Memory Cafe program continues to be very strong. We've had 46 people with Alzheimer's disease attend that Memory Cafe. So just one more thing to mention with the data, I think, is that the monetary impact for the contacts to the ADRC was 1.3 million, over 1.3 million. So again, that's the state requiring us to report certain ways. And I will say that the calls that come to the ADRC, recently Julie and I were talking about this, and she just said there are a lot of really sad and complicated stories out there, and they get the really sad and complicated stories a lot of the time. So very much appreciate what they do for the people that are calling. As in past years, about 30% of our total budget is county levy, about 19 or so percent, sometimes it's higher, sometimes a little bit lower, is program income donations, and the rest is grant funding or other revenue sources. Just to mention a couple of highlights, one thing, I just have to point this out, all of our programs get audited outside of the county. We have our regional office does an audit on all program areas every 3 years. So our nutrition program was audited in 2018, and they come and do an on-site review. It takes the whole day, and they choose one dining site that they're going to visit. And so this year they chose the Wild Rose Dining Center, and our reviewer, when she provided us our results, she said that that was her favorite dining center that she had visited of all they go to 70 counties, and so Thought that was pretty impressive. And because of that, she then invited Mr. Robert Blancato, who's the executive director of the National Association of Nutrition and Aging Services Programs and a board member of the American Society on Aging, to stop at Wild Rose when he was on his way to a conference and to visit with the dining center participants. So I thought that was a pretty neat thing that had happened for us. So there are some challenges, though, that, you know, we have the staff changes, Carol Klabundi leaving after 31 years. We have another key employee retiring who's been there for close to 12 years, Sue Seefeld. She'll be retiring at the end of June. And that is why there's we went through a department reorganization process, and that is on the agenda for later on tonight. And we think that we've reorganized in a way where we can continue to meet the needs of the department, but also not increase the expense at all. So hoping that you will approve that reorganization. So last year when I came and talked to you, I told you a little bit more in detail about the Memory Cafe program, and I like to share things that we've either, you know, highlight something from that we've been working on or something new. So I want to tell you just a little bit this time about our Sustainable Kitchens program. And what Sustainable Kitchens is a it's a business actually that our regional office is contracting with to help counties improve the quality of their food. And so we had the opportunity to join with them with their startup kit in late in 2018. We're still working with them now into 2019. But essentially the main idea is to use local produce and more made from scratch items and cooking techniques, and to sort of incorporate the clean cooking concept in so that we can enhance flavor and things like that to our recipes. So Portage County was working with them as well. They actually came and visited our kitchen, I think it might have been 2 years ago now, and they have since converted from a catering service to a like a central kitchen process, and they've been working with the Sustainable Kitchen program as well. So there's just a short little video that we're going to show. It's less than 3 minutes, just to kind of give you an idea of what they did and what we're currently in process of working on. So I'm going to ask Megan to hit the start button there.
To me, to eat locally would be like if I grew it in my own garden, and it's something that I was born and raised with as far as canning and taking care of my own garden and that. If I know it's from someone that I personally know, I will eat that before I will open a can or open a box from the freezer.
The Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources, WAR, is the designated area agency on aging for 70 of the 72 counties in Wisconsin and all 11 Native American tribes. WAR's mission is to help leaders in aging succeed. Our partnership with Sustainable Kitchens began in 2017. We needed to look to the future in order to keep the elderly nutrition program relevant.
So this week kicks off our training week here at Lincoln Center in Stevens Point. We're going to be working with the newly hired staff in the recently opened kitchen to prepare all of the new, fresh, scratch-made dishes using local produce. And today we went out to the local farmers markets and grocery stores to gather up the best ingredients that we could find and come back to Lincoln Center and get that new staff acclimated to the new kitchen and teach them some new skills to help them transition from an institutional mindset with regard to cooking to doing everything from scratch and just using good, simple, clean, wholesome ingredients.
We're excited to work with Justin Johnson and Sustainable Kitchens to focus on locally sourced foods for our senior nutrition program. That includes produce and protein sources and local vendors. We've also worked and collaborated with Farm Shed, a local group buying power. By locally sourcing our foods, we'll be able to control our costs a little bit more and really have on-site scratch cooking that our seniors in our community can enjoy. To see it from the beginning, where we worked and met with local vendors. where we met with local businesses who provide food to our community. So the process that we've gone through to make our transition from a catered operation to an on-site cooking facility has been amazing. It's been long and there's been bumps in the road, but I can tell you this, with partnership and collaboration and working together, we've built walls, we brought equipment in, we've laid new flooring. We really are committed to this project to ensure that we bring locally sourced foods to the diners and seniors of Portage County to enhance their well-being, and that they know where their food came from and that it was scratch cooked.
I believe that by transitioning to being our own sustainable kitchen, that we will have more variety for our seniors, we'll have more nutritional value, and we'll have a lot more flavor.
A lot of times when people hear sustainable kitchens is coming to town, it's like, okay, everything's going to be healthy and it's going to be tofu and flax and barley and, you know, rabbit food. That's not what we're about at all. It's about scratch cooking. It's about real food, clean food. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong with butter, salt, or sugar, everything in moderation. And when it's made simply and it's made in a clean way, and it's made consistently, all you really have to worry about to stay healthy is eating real food. There shouldn't be anything in your food that you didn't put there or that you can't pronounce. At the end of the day, we just want to make sure that everything is from scratch and everything is simple and clean.
Any elderly nutrition program in the state can benefit from working with us and Sustainable Kitchens. We have now a group purchasing organization. There will be one purveyor of product to the nutrition programs around the state that correspond to the menus from Sustainable Kitchens.
Being from an elderly community like this, sometimes they get to the point where they just throw something in the microwave because it's easy to do. Where here it's going to be presented to them in a beautiful arrangement on a plate, and they'll be able to just enjoy the goodness.
Anybody hungry?
Yeah, that looks really good.
So that's really what we're up to, is working toward that. I had hoped that Valerie could be here. She's our dietitian and our nutrition manager. She gets super excited when she starts talking about this sort of thing. And what the Sustainable Kitchen program said is that they want to work with counties where the staff are enthusiastic, energetic, willing to try, willing to change, and that really is our kitchen staff. They are an awesome team. They are excited about this, a little nervous, in some ways, but really excited about it. So in June, we actually have the first menu items that will be from the Sustainable Kitchen that will be on our menu. I don't know which ones Valerie has selected yet, but for example, roasted pork tenderloin with mustard cream sauce. Doesn't that sound good? Or poached salmon with lemon butter, peas, and whipped potatoes. And again, here's that enthusiastic, sort of willing to try anything. And when I saw the poached salmon, while it sounded fantastic, I was like, well, how much is that going to cost? So I think we're going to compromise on that and do poached cod. But so we'll start to see some more of these menu options on there. We'll be trying to see what, experimenting, I guess, to see what type of response we get. We'll continue to have choice every day so that individuals can choose if they don't like, if they don't like roasted pork tenderloin with mustard cream sauce, they can choose something else. And we'll just see how it goes. And hopefully we can come through and people will really enjoy the experience. We started, a couple years ago with this strategic plan to really enhance the quality of the food, and implementing choice was one of our steps. I think we're still the only county that has choice 5 days a week. And so having this opportunity to work with this chef who really knows, he's a culinarian, he knows what he's doing, and he can teach us these additional things, some simple things, just like adding sauce to vegetables or to a meat, could really enhance the experience. And then next year, as part of our aging unit plan, we're actually going to be reaching out to the public, our participants, and doing some in-kitchen cooking with them so that they can actually be in the kitchen and cook and learn how to make some of these dishes themselves. So we're excited about the process. We are applying for another I guess, a grant opportunity. We don't technically get the money, but what we would get is the opportunity to continue working with Justin for another year. And, but it's very competitive. They're only gonna choose one county to, you know, to work with them. But we're gonna submit an application anyway. We're excited about signature recipes. We're excited about working with local farmers, and hoping that this will streamline some of our processes with nutritional analysis and things like that. So I just wanted you to know about it, because I think it's, you know, I think it's something that we can be proud of, and hopefully the participants will respond positively to it. So I did want to let you know also that Mr. Civic has started his annual summer tour of visits to the dining centers, as you all know. I'm sure you've received the email. And so we're going to Red Granite on Thursday. If any of you would like to come, you're welcome to join us. Just let us know by tomorrow, Wednesday, no later than 2 p.m. so that we can get you on the list of people attending. And then we'll be picking out dates for June, and he'll put a notice out. The process for signing up for a meal when you want one is always to either call the meal site the day before in your local area, or if you're coming to outside of your local area, or to call our office. But if we don't hear from you, we don't know you're coming, and so we won't have a meal for you if you just show up. So I was told to bring a list if anybody wants to sign up with me for Thursday. I'll be here after the meeting. And then just to point out that you can find our menu always in the loose ends. And the menu item is the big, large menu, and then the alternate choices are up across the top. So that's how you would kind of choose what you want for the day. And on Thursday, we'll have a choice of poor man's lobster or a chef salad with ham, eggs, and veggies. And then just really quickly, because I forgot this here, this is literally hot off the press because I was proofing this before I came upstairs for our newsletter, our June edition. I didn't even know this was in our newsletter, but we do an annual survey. The state requires us to do an annual survey on our nutrition program every year. So Valerie put some information in our newsletter, and I just want to share really quickly just a couple of things. So there were 170 of our participants who responded to the survey, and so the question was, people rely on the meals for food security, and 69% of participants said the meal provided half or more of their total daily intake. Almost half of the home-delivered meal, and nearly 1 in 4 of senior dining participants said they would not have at least one hot, freshly prepared meal per day without the meals. 86% of home-delivered and 77% of senior diners said they eat healthier because of the meals. 91% of home-delivered and 80% of senior diners say the meal program improves their quality of life. And a question was asked, on most days, is the home-delivered meals driver the only person you see? And sadly, nearly half of the people said yes. And then as far as the quality, 94% say the food tastes good to excellent, and 100% are satisfied with the services they receive from the meals. So 94% can go higher though, right? Do you have any questions about the nutrition program or any of the other services that the Department of Aging offers?
Any questions?
I was going to ask, because on the handout, it says that 34% of the meals are served to individuals identified as having high nutritional risk.
Yes.
And are some of those stats that you just cited, is that what qualifies someone as a high nutritional risk, that this is the only intake of a nutritious meal
Yes.
that they're going to have?
That would be one of the elements. I believe it's a 10-question survey, I guess, that each individual takes when we enroll them into the program, both for home delivered and senior dining. And so it addresses different things. It addressed how often they eat a day. Would they be able to prepare their own meal if they didn't, you know, have another option? Can they get out to the grocery store? Things like that. Drinking plays a role into it. A variety of things. I wouldn't remember all of them without looking at it. And then you have a score like 0 to 3 yeses equals a certain score, and so yeah, so at least whatever it said, 33 or 34.
34%.
Yeah. In 2018, we're identified as having high nutrition risk.
Okay.
So we're hoping, obviously, that these programs bring that down then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Is there like an educational component that, you know, goes with that as well?
Yes, there is, yep. So we have, for the home delivered program, in order to qualify, you have to have an in-home assessment. So either Valerie, our nutrition manager, or any of her trained staff that work with that process, once they do the risk score, they have a handout for each of the 10 questions that goes along with it, and then they talk. And then Valerie is also a certified dietitian, so she is able to do nutrition education or one-on-one nutrition counseling with individuals as well. And she does have people who utilize that service.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Can't tell you how much I love our Department of Aging. Well, when you go around and talk to other people from other counties, you see that our Commission on Aging has so many more programs and things that other counties don't have. And I just think that's a testament to you and your staff, because we're getting it all here, you know. We're taking care of our citizens. And I think
We
that's
try,
great.
yeah.
I know you
It's
do.
a team effort, it's a group effort, not just our department, but all of you, you know, Human Services, other departments, Ruth, I mean, everybody's working together. But thank you for that, I appreciate that, Donna.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is consideration, possible action on the following resolutions and ordinance. Resolution number 11-05-19, resolution modifying one in-home therapist position to a clinical case manager, integrated services specialist position. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Lauer. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Piaski. Do you have any questions or comments concerning this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 12-05-19, resolution authorizing Department of Aging Services reorganization and repealing resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Lauer, second by Kirschner. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 13-05-19, a resolution acknowledging the commendable service of Dennis Weddy as Washera County Supervisor. Motion by Mr. Jarvis, second by Mr. Kirschner. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ordinance number 638, an ordinance amending Washera County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58, Washera County Code, Zone Change, Buchco Holdings LLC, Town of Bloomfield.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Peterman, second by Jarvis. Any questions concerning this ordinance? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Appointments, Commission on Aging. Warren Brewer, Hancock. These terms are from June 1st, 2019 to May 31st, 2022. Warren Brewer from Hancock, William Broughton from Watoma, Eloise Kraus from Fremont, Mariana Larson, Neshgoro. Do we have a motion? Motion by Piaski to approve, second by Cap. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now, Bob and I met last week, and we have the administrator and chair appointments to replace Supervisor Weddy. So hang on, it just gets a little interesting. All right, Mr. Jarvis, you will have the Administrative Review Board. That will be one of your committees. Aging and Disability Resource Center Governing Board. CAP Services Board. Now, Human Services, Mr. Jarvis is not able to serve on that. I believe his lovely wife works for Human Services, and his brother is also a citizen member on that board.
Right.
So I have asked Larry Tim to take that appointment, and he graciously agreed. So that would be, Larry will be on the Human Services Board. Transportation Coordinating Committee, Mr. Jarvis. Public Works Board will be Mr. King. I gotta turn it over. And, yeah, that's not on here.
Because it wasn't one of Dennis's committees.
Oh,
So you
okay.
have to explain what.
All right. Okay, what I did was, I talked to Mr. King, and he said he would be willing to go on the Public Works Board. That's Highway and Parks. And then he resigned from the Land, Water, and Education Committee because he has a hard time making the meetings of the lake, because that's a lakes thing too. So, Mr. Jarvis will be on Land, Water, and Education Committee, and that will include Irigami, Johns, Little Hills, and Lake Alpine. Okay. So, that, I believe, is it for appointments, right? Oh, I'm sorry, and Mr. Jarvis, you will also have the Plainfield Library.
Okay.
I think it's important for the members of the board to see exactly what our libraries do, because they are great in our communities. So if you would take that, you will be taking my place on the Plainfield Library Board. All right, thank you. Next, our proclamation is recognizing June 15, 2019 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, we do. Thank you. We need a motion to approve the appointments. Motion by Kirschner, second by Cap. Do you have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll recognize June 15th, 2019 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Jarvis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, board suggestions for future agenda items. Our next meeting will be held June 18th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Aurora Town Hall, and that's located at W 2319 State Road 21. And Everett's not here tonight, so somebody's gonna have to step up and make a motion to adjourn. Motion by Tim. Or did you have a question, or is that?
No, I don't have a
Okay. Motion to adjourn by Tim. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Peterman. We are adjourned. It's a good thing you caught that, Megan.
What ones are?
See, that's my personality. This is 101, and so that's it.